Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new Polymer Clay tutorial. Have a seat, have a seat. I'd like to invite all y'all to watch how I was created by Tom, the Polymer Clay Artist on YouTube. I mean, isn't he fabulous? Look at him. Just look at him. Well, anyhow, I do hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to give it a like. So without further ado, let's get started. To make my very own snowman here, I'm going to be using some heavy-duty aluminum foil. This is to bulk out the body and reduce the amount of clay that's being used. It's to save you a little bit of money, because this stuff is way cheaper than polymer clay. I'm going to be using Sculpting Ultralight. It's the lightest polymer clay that I know of. You want your Christmas ornament to be pretty light. You don't want it to just fall off from being so heavy, so this makes sense. I mean, look how light it is. It's almost floating. I'm also going to be using a little bit of cause clay for the arms and the nose and maybe the hat. This is so they don't break and makes it more durable and carefree. I got some Kato black right here. I'm probably going to make some coal pieces for the buttons using this. A simple finding. This is jewelry hardware. This is so I can hang it on the tree. And I'm going to be using a little TLS here and there to make sure all these parts are bonded together fairly well. But that's pretty much it. Okay, first we're going to build the body of the snowman, and then we'll put the accessories on it afterwards. There's two ways you can go about doing this. The easiest way would be to ball up some of this clay solid and just bake it, but that would take the most clay and it wouldn't be very cost efficient. The other way, which involves a couple more steps, is to use foil and bulk out the body, which is what I'm going to be doing in this video. It uses far less clay and you get more out of it. So I'm going to set this to the side for now. Okay, this part's fairly simple. I'm just going to take this foil and make 3 different sized balls. One bigger than the other and the other one bigger than those two. You got to keep in mind that there's going to be a layer of clay that goes around them too. So you got to make them a little smaller than what you would want. Pre-wrinkling your foil like this will help it bulk a little better as opposed to just laying flat sheets down. It agitates it and it causes it to become, disorganized. But you basically just keep adding layers until you get a size that you're looking for. And you can shape it by rolling it around on the marble or smacking it with something to get the high parts down. You can get it shaped fairly well, but it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to go with this for now for the head, but I might make it a little bigger. I just want to see what I got going on here. Another thing, when you're packing the foil like this, you want it to be somewhat firm, where it doesn't just squish by pressing on it. But you're not trying to fuse the atoms together, so to speak. It doesn't have to be completely solid foil. Right now, as it is right now, it's pretty strong. So that's really all what you're looking for. You don't have to go crazy with this. You just want it to be structurally stable, pretty much. That's what you're looking for. Okay, we got our cores made for the body. Now I'm going to roll out some of that Sculpting Ultralight on the thickest setting, and so I can wrap this. Alright, I got some rolled out here on the thickest setting, and this kind of reminds me of marshmallow. I don't know why, it feels just like marshmallow. But I'm going to wrap this big one first. The bottom side is the good side, where there's not much artifact going on. Whereas this side has the stuff going on. I want this to be the inside towards the foil. And this side to be good. So I got it laying this way. And I'm going to take the top of the ball, which is, we can determine that because this is flat. So this is the top. I'm going to put that right here. And then just cut this excess off. I'm just going to kind of work it down. I'm not trying to make any wrinkles here. Anywhere it overlaps, I'll just cut it off. This stuff is actually not very easy to work with, I don't think. Doesn't feel very easy to work with here because it's so soft and just mushy. Like, you don't even have to cut it, it just mushes right off. It's a little weird, but it's really light, so that's kind of the point. I'm gonna make a hole in the bottom so I can work this air out. So I'm just pressing on it all over, getting it dirty, and just trying to make it to where all the clay is laid down flat and there's no air bubbles, which that seems like it did it right there. Okay. And this is actually really light, which is the whole purpose. Okay, so we're going to do the medium size ball. I'm going to try to do this one a little bit better, a little easier. So I'll just fold this over and cut it here. Looking at this, the textures on this looks like a snowman, like it's been formed up with snow. They're not perfectly solid round like a flawless sphere. So that's actually working good for me. Ooh, that's some really good tack. Hear that? Okay, so we have the bottom and we have the middle part done. So what I'm going to do is I was going to add just a pinch of TLS. Even though it has good tack, I'm still going to put a little bit on there. Rub that around. And then now I'm going to place this on top like this. Kind of move it around and let it get real stuck on there real good. So how does that look? Right here where it kind of bulges out at the bottom, I'm just going to bring it back into the other clay to kind of give it that shape where it's formed to it. That actually looks pretty good, I think. Now for the littlest ball. This is really weird working with this. I'm not getting any sensible method that I can use. Normally I cut slices and I'm really good at covering stuff like this actually. And it seems to help just kind of rotating it like this and pressing on it. Plus it gives it that interesting detail. I want to take this tool right here and stab a hole in the top of it and get through that foil. That way I can put my hat on later easily. There's going to be one more hole in the front for where the nose is going to be. So I'm just going to wallow a hole right there too. And we're going to place this on top for the last little part of our snowman. Now you may have noticed that I didn't use a skewer. Most people would use a skewer, like a stick going through it, but it's stable. This is completely stable, so that's not really necessary. The only purpose of that stick going through it is for stability, to hold it all together so when you bake it, it stays put. Provided this doesn't melt in the oven, pun intended, this should be fine. Okay, I still got the holes, and we want one on each side for his arms. Okay, so now that we got that all done, make sure he ain't leaning. He's leaning, so let me try to pull him forward a little bit here. Don't you be leaning, Snowman. I do want to take a dotting tool and make like 3 indentions here and then 3 more here. This is so I can do something for the buttons. So I'm going to bake this in the oven for 15 minutes. Okay, so here it is out of the oven. It baked pretty nicely. It didn't change or alter much. It's kind of leaning forward a little bit, but that really doesn't matter, I don't think. Got a nice flat bottom so it can stand anyways. Before I start, working on the other parts, I want to just open this up right here, where they kind of closed up from smushing it. So now I'm going to reset my camera and overhead and work on the nose and the arms and the hat. Okay, I'm going to start by making the nose, and I just got a little ball of clay right here. And what I want to do is kind of teardrop it where it's thick on one end and thinner on the other. It don't have to be really big, I don't think. What we're trying to do is make it look like a carrot. So I got this tool right here, and I'm just going to drag it across like this and give it just little grooves here and there. Not too deep though. I'm noticing it's kind of easy to go deeper. And now I'm going to take the other end and just pinch it into something like this. That way it can go into that hole. And I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. And we can curve this and give it a cool little characteristics, like you have a nose curving up or down. Well, you could just, position it any way you want on the sculpture. But we're going to set this to the side and that'll get baked. Now I need to make some arms. And I'm going to do that by rolling out a snake long enough to do both of the arms. Okay, I cut this in half so we have two arms. And it is raining, so if you're wondering what that noise is, it's something I can't control, so enjoy a little rainstorm while you're watching the sculpting video. Alright, I got me two arms here. I want to texture them. I'm just going to take this tool and lightly drag it like this to simulate the grooves in wood. And I'm dragging it away from myself on one side of them, and then I'll flip them around and do the other side. Before I do that though, I want to cut the ends of them and fork it like that. Cause clay is a perfect clay for this because this will make this somewhat delicate. So I have these forked, and I want to try to take it and make it where it doesn't look like I just split it with a tool. I'm just kind of pressing on that edge that the split made. Okay, now do the other side the same way. That way there's no sharp edge, because that just pretty much says right away, hey, this was just split in half. And I'm gonna give it some kind of pose, something like that. That looks good. And we want an angle up here too. I'm going to roll up a ball. I'm still using cause clay just because. And we're gonna kind of pinch the top side of it like this. And we're going to take this other part right here, roll it up into a little ball to where it's smooth like this, and then flatten it out. Not too thin, just keep in mind that that's the brim of the hat, so the thicker the easier it'll hold its shape. The thinner the harder it's going to be to work with. This cause clay has really good tack, but I'm still going to put just a spot of TLS on here like that. That looks good. Alright, now I'm just going to take this part. The fatter end is going to be the top where it kind of tapers down a little bit, and that's going to go on that brim. I messed that up cutting that off the table. I didn't cut all the way flat. You gotta watch out for that. But now I'm just gonna take this tool and press upwards to join that all the way around. It bows in a little, and you can tell it's just two pieces of clay that are trying to be a top hat, but we want it to look like a top hat. There's got to be an angle down here, not where it curves inward, where it goes down to the brim and then comes out. So that's what we're trying to achieve here, and it looks like it's working. Now I can just take my thumb, very gently go around it and remove some of that tool work. Enough of it anyways. Okay, so now I'm going to take my little finding tool. First put a dot of TLS on there and push this through right in the middle where that puddle of TLS is. I'm going to stick this right on through, because in theory it'll grab that TLS and it'll wind up making it just stay. My aim is a little weird. See that? How it came off towards the side? I want to try that again. I can do the same hole on the top. I just got to try to aim it a little better. Nope. Nope. There. Ding, ding, ding. Alright. And then compress that clay around there till we close up that hole. Double check it for any kind of imperfections. You'll want to do that before baking it. Mainly we're just trying to take away tool marks. Let's see if this brush helps me out right here. Looks like it is. Oh yeah, that nice rain out there. Sounds good. Alright, we got the nose, the two arms, and the hat. We're going to bake this for maybe 10 minutes. Not very long, because I'll bake it all together when it's done. But okay guys, I'm all set up here to paint. I got me a paintbrush, some water, and because I'm mixing cos clay with Sculpey 3's Red Hot Red, it may dilute a little bit, so I might need some red to paint over that. I'm not sure, I just got it there anyways. I got some orange, some brown, and black. I got a little bit of 220 grit sandpaper that I'm gonna touch up this hat when I get to it. I just got some wax paper laid down. I felt like this is not really a big enough project to set up the little paint containers and stuff like that. So I can just take me a little dot and give it some paint. Look how that transforms. So I'll just set this here. Give this little arm a wood look by painting it brown. Pretty simple. I tell you right now, this really makes it look a lot more like a twig now that we got some brown paint on here. It really did the trick in bringing it to life. Okay, I got my stuff protected. I don't want to get it dust on it. It's probably already dry by now. Just some casual sanding here. See the high spots? How they're exposed now? They got brighter. That's because the surface just got scuffed up. And that's how you know what's high and what's low. Not only will this make the paint stick a little better, but I think it'll give it that finer look. Just that little extra mile that you can put into your work, you know, by honing the surfaces and stuff and making it look a lot better. A little sanding will really go a long way in your project. Put some paint on this, see how it turns out. Lovely transformation. I think that's probably when some of the magic happens, when you finally put that color on your work. Unless you're using colored clay, that is. I don't know about you, but that's looking like a top hat to me. Looks really cool. I've never made a miniature hat. Okay, as for the actual snowman's body, I'm going to give this some paint, some white paint, just to keep it, make it look clean, because it's got lint in it and stuff like that. But I'll do that off camera. But what I do want to show you is I'm going to flatten a part of the top of the head. This way the hat can sit on it evenly. I figured I would at least show you guys that part because it's, I guess you would call that technical. But I'm going to just hold it as steady as I can to get a flat surface. And this is 80 grit, which is very, very rough. So I don't need to do this much. Alright, that's pretty good. It's sitting on there pretty decent now. So that's all I needed to do. It's just enough to give it a slight flat surface to match this. Okay, I get everything set up so I can assemble this. First I'm going to take some TLS and put it on this wax paper right here. Just a little bit. I want to apply a little bit of this in and around the hole. This is to ensure that the raw clay bonds properly with the baked clay. I'm also going to add some where I did the sanding. To do this, I'm going to just snake some of this clay to kind of help me out and just stuff it in that hole. I also got this dotting tool to ensure that I can really get it nice and filled. This is going to give like a foundation for the arm to rest in. I'm going to take some more of this TLS and do a light coating around the arm where it goes into the snowman. And then stuff the arm in there a good little ways. Where it's bulged out a little bit, I could just scrape it off with something. There we go. Check that out. Let's do that again on this side. Give it a little push. Want to kind of match the other side as far as how far it goes in, which that looks about right there. And then get rid of that little bead that squeezed out. Now we're going to do the same exact thing for the nose. Start by snaking up the clay, and then we're going to fill it some TLS. The nose can be kind of pointing up or down. I thought pointing up would be kind of cool, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to stick that in there, just like that. And then double check the pose of the nose. Now for the hat. Now this is a really great big hole, because I took my tool and I shoved it in there and I made a lot of room. That's so I can be sure that I can bury the little loop that I'm going to put at the end of the hat. See how much space is in there? So I'll just fill it up. Now I'm going to take a little bit and kind of sandwich it like that. Put it right on top. See how that did? And then we're going to add just a little more TLS on top of that clay that I just put on top of that other TLS. So it's just to make sure everything bonds properly. Now we're ready to do the hat, but before we do that, we have to do something a little different than just this right here. First I'm going to take the length off just a little bit. It doesn't need to be quite that long. And then I'm going to take this jewelry tool and just grab it and wrap it like this. Now I can stick it right down in that hole that I made. And here's the trick. You put it on there and give it just a little turn, or quite a bit of a turn. Squeeze it down on there and get some of that clay to squeeze out. Okay, so it made a bit of a mess where it kind of squeezed out. So I'm just going to take this sharper tool and gently gather up that squeezed out. Now that hat is bonded on there fairly well, or it will be once it's baked again. Okay, so we got the arms, nose, and hat on. Now we just need to do the buttons, the eyes, and the mouth. I got right here a ball of black polymer clay. This is Kato. It's really all I have right now, and black. I'm just rolling me out a snake, and then with something sharp, I'm just using a palette knife here. Try to cut me pieces that are relatively the same size. And there we are. See those 6 pieces? Okay, these are awfully little, so I'm going to use these for the mouth. I gotta try again for the buttons. So I have a brand new nylon brush, that way I don't have any kind of colors or anything in it. And I'm going to dip it in this TLS, and I'm just going to run it around in each one of these little shallow areas where I made for buttons, just like that. Also, in the general area where the eye is going to be, I'm going to put TLS all over that area. The T stands for translucent, so you won't see any of this, but I'm doing kind of a wide area, so I have freedom to do whatever style eyes I want to do, which is I want to do something simple, just some round eyes. And I'm going to paint me a smiley face with it as well, where all these little black pieces are going to go for his mouth. Okay, so let's try this out. Let's take my little ball, stick it in there. For now, we're just going to just gently touch on it, push it down in there. It's still protruding. Do you see how that's sticking out? And I'm going to do that for the other 5 holes. Just using my fingers for this part. Let's do the eyes next. You want to make real sure that the 2 balls you're using are fairly even in size. So let's start with one. We'll just put it up here somewhere. Oh, there we go. He looks brilliant that way, don't he? And then slowly push them down a little bit. There we go. Now let's work on the mouth. Take these smaller balls and just grab them up with this tool. And we want to try to form a smile. I'm going to cut this last one in half so where it's even smaller. There we go. That's a great big old smile. Now I'm going to gently press down on this, and this is real delicate, this part. If you go too much, they get really big, so it's just something you have to pay attention to. So what I have here is some cosplay and some Sculpey 3 Red Hot Red. I'm going to mix these 2 together. This will simplify painting for me. It's also going to stain my fingers, so when I'm done doing all my mixing, I'm going to go wash my hands real good before trying to make this scarf. Okay, to do this, I'm just going to roll this out into a snake. Okay, I'm going to roll this through the pasta machine on setting 5, which is roughly half of the full thickness, and see how much I have for length. Okay, so right around here, I can cut it. I'm going to add some TLS around the neck. I'm just going to press this against the cheek very gently, like this, but at an angle. And I'm going to take the scarf, bring it around, preferably where the seam goes where that other piece is. It was a little long, but that actually worked for me because I want it to be a little thicker right here anyways. And I'm just going to take this part, fold it down like that. Looky there. I ain't never done anything like this. I'm going to lift the bottom one up, and you guessed it, put some TLS underneath there and stick it to. Now if this was completely cosplay, I could make it flying in the wind and we wouldn't have to worry about parts like that breaking. Little TLS in between these 2 pieces. So how do we look here? We have a little snowman, completely custom, one of a kind. You know, he may not be the prettiest one, but it's made from the heart. This is something you can just make and add to your own tree or give it as a gift. And, it's the thought that counts. It's not how it looks. I'll bake this in the oven for 15 minutes because these are very tiny parts that I added on. Everything else has already been pre-baked. I would like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. You guys stay safe. Please don't forget to like the video and drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about this little project. It sure means a lot. Don't forget to like the video because it helps me so much and I really appreciate it. See y'all again here real soon. Merry Christmas.